Lucio Fulci is best known for his work in giallo and horror, and you can find tons of people on YouTube talking about that stuff. But he also made other kinds of movies, including a few westerns. And you can't find too many people talking about that stuff, so let's try to fix that. Welcome to Exploitation Reviews, and me, Rob, and today I'm taking a look at The Four of the Apocalypse from 1975. This is the second of the three westerns that Fulci made. It comes about 10 years after his first western, 1966 Massacre Time with Django star Franco Nero, and it's a few years before his last western, 1978's Silver Saddle. So let's see what the director of Zombie did out west. We open on Stubby Preston arriving in town. That's Fabio Testi, by the way. We last saw him on this channel in one of my favorite jolly, What Have You Done to Solange? The sheriff wants to talk to Stubby. He searches his bag and finds decks of cards, which he promptly burns. Stubby admits he had marked the cards and offers him money to not burn the rest of them, but the sheriff ain't having that. Apparently he's not a fan of card sharks, so he throws Stubby in jail. In jail, he meets a working girl, Bunny, a mentally disturbed black man, Bud, who claims he can see dead people. That sounds kind of familiar. And a passed-out drunk, Clem. The drunk, by the way, is played by Michael J. Pollard. He had a very long career. You might recognize him from Bonnie and Clyde, and if not that one, then maybe Rob Zombie's House of a Thousand Corpses. So, our four are together. Time for the opening credits. As they play out, some men in white masks prepare for something, and then they shoot up the town, and those are some pretty nice gunshot effects. And while all this is going on, the sheriff doesn't seem to be the least bit concerned. After he finishes his dinner, he tells our four that it was his plan. Rid the town of bad elements so people will want to live there again. But he lets our four prisoners go. I guess they weren't as bad as the other ones who were in town, or maybe it's because Stubby had money to bribe him. Either way, they strike out and start heading for a town that's some 200 miles away. Along the way, they run into some religious folks, some dangerous people, and then Chaco. He's pretty good with a rifle, which means dinner won't be a problem. And his skills also come in handy when some ne'er-do-wells get frisky. Chaco's also pretty good with a knife. This scene was edited out of many releases, including the English language releases, and because of that, it does not have English audio, and on my DVD, there aren't even any subtitles for this part either, so I have no idea what they're saying. Stubby says basta at one point, and I know that's Italian for enough, but whatever Chaco says is a mystery to me. Sorry, I don't speak Italian. I do speak German though, and I also have a German copy of this movie, but that version is the censored version without this scene, so I don't know what's going on. I doubt it's very important. All we really need to know is Chaco is pretty unhinged. In fact, that's something of an understatement. In the next scene, he gives them all peyote and with the help of the drunk, ties up the other three so he can do some non-consensual things with Bunny. And according to IMDb, Fabio Testi and Lynne Frederick kind of had a thing going. No one's exactly sure if it was an affair, but they definitely had some feelings for each other. And apparently Tomas Milian's performance as Chaco during this scene made Fabio Testi legitimately angry. So I guess Fabio Testi got a bit testy. Puns are stupid. Anyway, Chaco leaves them all to die in the sun. And Stubby promises revenge. When our four are free, they head out after Chaco, following his path of evil and destruction. And that's enough out of me as far as plot goes. Let's talk some highlights. The cast. Wow, everyone in this movie is great. Chaco is a memorable villain. He really sells the sadism in this role, and he looks cool as hell. Those crosses under his eyes, the headband. According to an interview, he partially based the look of the character off of Charles Manson. I can kind of see it. And our four are also great. I'm glad they made Fabio Testi a card shark instead of a different Western trope, because he's way too pretty to be an outlaw gunslinger. But charismatic card shark? Yeah, I can buy that. And Michael J. Pollard is really good as the drunk. We don't even turn against him when he turns against the group. He's clearly sick. This is not a comedic drunk performance. It's a performance of a drunk as a person with an illness. He's diseased. Of course, with these low-budget Italio-westerns, we have to deal with some bad dubbing, which does mar these performances somewhat, but that's just how these movies work. Accept it and move on. In addition to the great-looking cast, the movie itself looks pretty good too. That's pretty typical of Westerns, and it's nice to see it lives up to expectations. And I guess overall, the film is just interesting. It's not a typical Western, it's not a typical Italio-Western. Sure, it's got a morally gray protagonist and some shocking violence, so it's safely in the revisionist Italio-Western genre, but it's different enough to stand out in that crowd, and that is a big crowd. The film is moving in a way. It's tragic. It gets real dark. It feels like it's got something to say, maybe even something biblical. The four horsemen of the apocalypse were disease, famine, war, and death, and all of these themes play a role in the movie. But despite all that, I don't think the movie is perfect. Like two smoking hot actors getting feelings for each other, this film has some shortcomings. Well, my biggest problem with this movie is that narratively, it's not as tight as it could have been. It's too episodic. It should have been straighter. Run into Chaco, follow Chaco's path of evil on a mission of revenge and justice. Over and done. And that is there, but the movie takes a lot of detours along the way. And there are even times when one of these episodes has nothing to do with the rest of the story. At one point, for example, the four are hiding while some outlaws fire their guns and whatnot, but the scene doesn't go anywhere, it doesn't do anything. We don't even see how they avoided the outlaws or what the outlaws were up to. It's a completely pointless scene. I don't know why it's in the movie. And some of the later drama in the movie dips a little bit too heavy into melodrama for my taste, but maybe that's just me. Overall, this is an interesting film that is perhaps a bit underappreciated. I mean, it's not great, it wouldn't make my top 10 Westerns, it wouldn't even make my top 10 Italian Westerns, but it is interesting.